Hey everyone, it's Dr. Angela Ram, and today we're going to talk about the liver. So let's get started because I know we all have one, can't live without it. So let's talk about how important the liver is. All right, so what does the liver do? I think it's so good to understand, like, first and foremost, what does the liver do? So, first of all, the liver is going to filter the blood that's coming from the digestive tract. It produces bile that's stored in your gallbladder, and once you eat food, you're going to convert that food into nutrients somewhat through the digestive system, but the liver helps kind of that final process. The liver helps metabolize proteins, basically converting those proteins into amino acids. And those amino acids are what are used for the building blocks for energy. The liver is also going to break down carbs and fats to be spread throughout the body via the bloodstream. All right. So, one thing the liver does, and it's one of the biggest responsibilities of the liver, is it's going to, through the liver detox pathways, it's going to eliminate toxic waste. That is very important, as you can imagine. All right. So, another thing that's really important is the fact that we have excess hormones. So, when we have excess hormones, if we don't break those down and eliminate them, well, guess what happens? They get thrown back into the bloodstream, and the all of a sudden the body is just overloaded, say with estrogen. So the liver didn't effectively break those down. It didn't go through both detox pathways to basically end up putting them into water so the body can eliminate it well. And here you are with excess estrogen and things like endometriosis and PCOS and a lot of other things, but we won't talk about that. But this is such a huge responsibility for the liver to actually do this. Okay, so some other things that the liver do. This is where it's going to um, take some of the nutrients that you're from your food you're eating. It's going to take those nutrients and it's going to convert those vitamins and minerals into a stored version. So if you're under a ton of stress, if you're in a higher need, maybe you've had a traumatic, an accident, or you're exposed to something, the immune system's upregulated for some reason, your body's going to be searching for excess nutrients, and the liver actually can hold on to some of those nutrients so that you can have those, so the body doesn't have to keep robbing from other areas. So that's kind of important, right? Because in time of needs, we, especially if you're not one who takes good vitamins and quality vitamins, and you don't have maybe access to the best food, it is great that the liver can do that. All right. So the other couple things that the liver does is it can manage that whole conversion of fats. So think triglycerides and think cholesterol. And we have so many people right now that are actually on cholesterol reducing meds. And like for me, I am extremely healthy. I have no health issues at all. And my cholesterol is anywhere from 212 to 220. I just always have a little bit higher cholesterol. And some doctors would maybe want to put me on something to reduce that. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't have cholesterol, like your cholesterol is too low or you're suppressing it too much, you actually might not be making hormone. So cholesterol is a good thing. We just want to make sure it doesn't get too far out of control, right? But diet should do that, not medications, of course. So start with diet and have a discussion with your primary care physician to make sure that you are being regulated and to wean you off maybe one of those medications if you're on it. Here's a fun fact about the liver: 25% of your liver can actually be rejuvenated. How cool is that? Like if you were to help a friend out and they needed a liver transplant, they don't need a whole liver, and you don't need to get rid of your liver, but you can give them a portion of your liver and your liver can actually grow back. That's kind of cool. Okay. So I don't know if everybody wants to line up and do that, but you know what? It is awesome that the liver has that kind of power. One thing about the liver is the hardest working organ in your body. And the one thing you want to remember is anything that's coming in through the mouth, through the digestive tract, and comes through the intestinal wall and is on your skin, like things that you're washing your hair with, putting on your face, your cosmetics, your lotions, your toothpaste, your lip balm, all of those things, the things you wash your clothes with, all those things, the air we breathe, the liver is the gatekeeper. So anything coming in to the body's system, first stop is the liver. The liver's the gatekeeper. So we need to make sure that we're doing the right things to help the liver out, because it needs it, because we take such advantage of our liver. And a lot of people think, oh, so I have high, liver enzymes. I'm not an alcoholic, I don't drink. Well, there's only, I would say 20% of the people who have like non-alcoholic liver disease. I know some people are like, yeah, right, sure, you don't drink. But seriously, there is more issues with our liver because of the lifestyles versus just being, an alcoholic or drinking too much alcohol. I mean, we're talking about the air, the water, our sleep, our stress, the things we're putting on our skin, our digestive system, what we're eating. All of these things actually stress the liver out and have it causing it issues. So, speaking of causing issues for the liver, what does that look like? So, what causes it to be dysfunctional, basically? And what puts you maybe at a higher risk? So the number one killer, and we've all heard this before, and it's the one thing we're always trying to reduce, is stress. Now, you can't tell a mother of three who is, working full time and trying to raise a family, take care of the household, not to be stressed, right? But there's definitely things she needs to take care of herself. She still needs to take a little bit of time for herself. She needs to realize what are the things I can and can't control. But more importantly, what am I putting in my body? What is the type of water I'm drinking? What is my sleep like? She needs to address these things, and some things need to be taken care of with supplements, nutrition. So we want to make sure that if we can't handle that stress, the outside external stress, we really want to be working on what's going on inside and the things that we can absolutely control, because controlling stress isn't always easy, right? So we do want to manage stress inside, outside of the body for sure. Blood sugar issues. If you have a high carbohydrated diet, or you are type 2, or you know that you have an insulin issue, this is going to set your liver up for dysfunction. If you've had gastric bypass surgery, if you have an autoimmune disorder, and most autoimmune disorders, you don't just have one, there's usually one or two, three, and sets you up for others. That also can affect the way your liver functions. Super high cholesterol. Super high cholesterol meaning like your diet is completely out of control. If you're on medications for cholesterol, you need to take a sharp look at your diet. But if you start changing up your diet, you want to make sure you let your doctor know, hey, I'm going to more of a protein and non-starchy vegetable diet. So I want to make sure that my labs are always good. My cholesterol is like maybe under 230, under 220, somewhere in there. Let's see. I mentioned diabetes, sleep apnea, definitely. I mean, if sleep is one of it's truly, if you are not getting at least 6 or 7 hours of pretty decent quality sleep, you are setting yourself for all kinds of health issues, weight issues, mental concentration, mood issues. So you want to make sure you're doing some healthy habits when it comes to sleep. If you have PCOS or endometriosis, these are definitely setting you up, because the liver, we know, is stressed. It's not processing those hormones. If you have thyroid or pituitary, especially if you have hypothyroid or hypopituitary, but even hyper and hypo, those are cause for concern. And believe it or not, men over 65 are more susceptible to liver issues. I don't know why, but I don't know, maybe lifestyle, I guess. But definitely, if you're over 65 and you're a male, you want to double check your labs. And some of the labs that you can look at are going to be your AST and your ALT. Those are going to test your liver enzymes, your alkaline phosphatase, and your total protein, albumin, and globulin. Those are labs that are really important for your liver. All right. So, what are some things you can look for? So, if you are wondering, do I have a liver issue? I guarantee you, everybody who watches this, you have a concern. There's, if you're in your 40s or above and even younger than that, and you live a normal American lifestyle to some degree, even super healthy people, we see different markers that based with nutrition, maybe doing some liver detoxing. And we'll talk about that in a second. We can get those numbers down and you even having more energy and feeling better. So even if you're perfectly healthy, there are things you can do to help your liver. All right. So what are some signs to look for to bring maybe a little concern that, yes, there might be something going on with my liver? So if you have abdominal pain on that right side, if you ever notice like there's like a yellow hue to your eyes or even your skin, jaundice, that's a concern. If you are just fatigued all the time for really no apparent reason, that is a concern. Nausea, vomiting, if vomiting, if you have this kind of like where you don't try to lose weight and you have this weight loss, that's something to think about. Weakness, you just feel overall, you just feel weak. If you have trouble concentrating, kind of confusion sometimes, like you're driving, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, like where was I going? Like what was I doing? That's a concern that there could be some liver stress. If you have gas and bloating, maybe you bruise easily. If you have constipation, and let's say your bowels are more of that pale color or dark color stools, that's a sign there's liver stress. Swelling in the legs and ankles, we see that a lot in clinic. And people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so you hate to tell people, it could be your liver because they kind of panic, but there are so many things that you can do. Remember, the liver can rejuvenate itself, so it is something that really day one, you can start making changes to help your liver. PMS and heavy periods, we talked about kind of that endometriosis and PCOS. Those are definitely signs. If you have acne, if your mood is just kind of cranky all the time, and if you have thyroid issues or if you have like Hashimoto's, those are definitely signs. So, what are some things you can do? A lot of people will be like, I'm going to do a liver cleanse, and liver cleanses are nice, I guess I should say. I've done them. I've done juice cleanses. I've done the gallbladder liver cleanses. I've done that several times. I've done a special one from an Amish doctor where I passed liver stones, like super cool. It was basically a 24-hour thing, and I couldn't believe what came out of me. But those, as good as they can be, they're also very temporary. They're just kind of not even masking. They're basically just kind of pushing some things through the body. And you have to be very careful. Listen, you can find a gazillion different videos on liver detoxing and cleanses and all this stuff, but there are some key things you need to know. So when it comes to cleanses, the one thing I want you to think about is a lot of cleanses tend to be loaded with fruits and veggies and you're juicing, and that's all great for you, but you're not getting the fiber and you're basically getting fructose, you're getting sugar. And so that's really hard on the liver. So if you're doing like a 3-day juice cleanse, I want you really to take a step back and think about that. Like, I would rather you just eat some of the fruit and some veggies for a few days rather than do a bunch of juicing, because you need that fiber to slow down that glucose crash, right? And spike. So why do I like detoxing? Well, I've done different detoxes. They can be super expensive and they can be super non-effective and everything in between. And I think you just have to be very cautious when it comes to a detox, because if you're just addressing the liver, you're not gonna really get very far. It is one thing to take some things that can, like an herb that might detox the liver. And there's a couple out there that can detox the liver. I don't even want to mention them because I don't want you to do that. That's one thing that I definitely would cautious you is just taking one individual herb for something, because you're going to miss the boat. If your liver detoxes and your kidneys are not opened up, you're going to back up the lungs. And if we haven't learned how important the lungs are in the last couple of years with everything going on, take note. So we need to make sure the kidneys are getting addressed and moving and flushed out. We need to make sure that the bowels are moving and flushed out, because if you're detoxifying the liver, we want it out of the body, right? So those elimination vehicles have to be open. So you want to make sure a system that you're using is addressing that. We've worked with a couple in clinic. I will tell you, some of them are 3 and 4 months. And some people with even the one that I would recommend to you, if you have some serious issues, you might want to do it for 1 to 2 months, but it's the same. You're just repeating it and kind of building upon, because the ones that have like the 3 to 4 months, it's a lot of different pills. It's a lot. I mean, it's great. It's expensive. It's great. However, you've got to be very compliant, and you really have to be completely, you don't want to waste your money. So you want to be 90 to 100% on, right? You want your diet to be in check. You want to set time aside, because you could have some bowel issues. So one that I recommend, it's just, you guys can, if you can notify me, I'll have my information down below, but you can email me at drangelaram@gmail.com. So drangelaram, RAHM, at gmail.com, if you're interested in the detox. But we have a detox system that basically goes through the whole, we're going to flush the kidneys, we're going to detoxify the liver, and we're going to restore the gut. This is a 30-day program. And what's so great about it, it comes in no bottles, it comes in a wheel. So it comes in basically like this. Isn't that cool? So you have so the first 3 days, you're taking 2 pills in the morning and in the evening. And then when you get into day 4, you start taking 3 pills in the morning and 3 pills at night. And then in the evening, you start taking your 4 pills in the morning, 4 pills at night. So this is one of the best systems. I'm on month 2 right now. I love it. I have several people that are also on month 2. But if you know someone who is selling this detox, you want to reach out to them and talk to them. But we love this. We're using it in practice. We're using it in our huge wellness to weight loss plan, and incorporating it into our practitioner practice here in Madison, Wisconsin. So if you have any questions, just put them down below. I'll try to get to them. Or otherwise, you can just drop me an email at drangelaram@gmail.com. All right. I hope you learned a little something. And I'm going to be doing another video where we're going to talk about the liver and hormones, because so many people are going after like hormone replacement therapy, or they're getting pounded with all they're doing, their doctors are testing TSH, and they're just getting, Synthroid, or they're getting a T4 synthetic thyroid hormone replacement. So we really need to think about this, and you need to understand what actually helps the thyroid work better versus let's just try to fix the thyroid. Well, you have to fix some other things, and the liver is really super important in all of that. So anyway, I hope this was very informative for you and gave you some things to think about. All right. Have a great day.